So welcome back to week 3 of this Abingdon Marathon Training series where I am trying to get myself into sub 240 shape. And my goal this series is to bring you guys a little bit more value than in previous training series. So I'm trying to give you a topic that I talk about every week after I've showcased the workouts that we've got. So today we have 2 workouts to go through, which is this week. The end of the week for me is changed up. I'll explain more about that later after you see the workouts. And then I want to jump in to some discussion around zone 2 running. And the reason I want to highlight it this week is because I get so many questions and have done over the years about my lack of easy running, why I do so much steady running, and like what are the benefits? Like, are you going to overtrain? Are you going to get yourself injured? I want to talk about all of that at the end. So first of all, let's dive into the workouts this week and then we'll get back here and we'll talk all about it. So good morning and welcome back to another Abingdon Marathon Training episode. This is number 3 and today's topic is all about zone 2 running, why I do it, why I implement so much of it, and why it looks like, I guess, from the outside, I don't run easy as much as other people. I get a question all the time and I had it on Strava on the weekend and it prompted me. I thought, you know what, it will be a good topic for this week's video. But before we get to that, we've got a double threshold workout to do today, kick-starting with my usual 5x2k this morning. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I had a down week last week. I had a really solid long run on the weekend, possibly one of the best ever. And obviously now we're getting back into full training. This week's going to be a bit of a juggle. I'm away for a couple of days at the end of the week for a funeral, so it's going to be a little bit, we'll see how we can fit it all in. I'll explain all of that when we get back and of course talk about zone 2, but for now let's kickstart and get into this 5x2k. $7:25, baby. Good start. $7:24 for number 2. $7:22 for the third one. All good so far. Another 7:25, 1 to go. This has been really good. $7:21 to wrap things up. That was good. So that was a really good session, a good way to start today. Much more consistent splits. Wind wasn't a huge factor today. It's there, but it's not massive. And new best lowest heart rate for the session, 152 average, which is absolutely nuts. And yeah, really happy with that. It felt really controlled, which is bizarre because I'm so bad in the heat. And it's really hot today again, just like it has been. It's meant to be cooling down, but it doesn't feel like it is. I'm dripping, but overall it was really comfortable. Felt good. Splits were very consistent. Cannot complain. See you tonight. And it is now this evening. Here we go. 12 by 800 meters is the evening session. Off of 45 seconds rest. Around LT2 sort of effort, so the upper threshold, the anaerobic threshold, but sitting just under that, nice and controlled tonight. That's the goal. And bloody hell, it's raining. We've had some glorious weather lately, and tonight is literally just a blip. We have and will continue to get wonderful weather after this, between 22 and 23 and 24 for the next few days by the look of it. So this will be interesting. I haven't run in the rain in a while. We've had a decent, finally, a decent few weeks of weather, which is nice. So yeah, excited to get this one done. Right, taking a bit of shelter, warm up done. Trying not to get water in the camera. I am basically at the start point of where I'm going to start my 800 meter reps. For 240 to 249, in that realm. 530, low 530s to 520s per mile would be absolutely spot on, which I think is in and around the 240s. We're from somewhere in there, so that's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully that feels good. Felt good in the warm-up. Felt actually really good, much better than last week. So we'll see how it goes. 12 of them tonight, as I said, off 45 seconds rest. Let's do it. But before we do, we'll brave the rain and say a massive thanks to Saysky for sponsoring this week's video, sponsoring the training series. Really appreciate this support leading in to Abingdon Marathon. Let me move here. Point here, you know the drill. FOD Runner 15 gets you guys 15% off Saysky items. I am wearing one of the OG singlets, which is getting soaked right now, and one of the new combat shorts. Never anything different. iPhone 12 Pro Max in the pocket there. I keep saying to you guys, these are the best marathon shorts out there. I love them and I can't wait to use them at Abingdon. Stuff all the gels in the side, no need for a belt. And I even carry a soft flask on my long run this weekend, which had my maltodextrin in it. So absolutely brilliant kit. I've had a lot of it. I really appreciate all of it. Brilliant quality, and I know you guys love it too. So if you're looking for some new marathon or half marathon kit, or whatever kit you're training for this autumn's goal race, make sure you use this discount code right here. FOD Runner 15 gets you 15% off. All right, let's go for it. Here we go. The rain's getting heavier. Across the road already. 245, 244. Good start. That's in the 530s per mile, so we'll see what happens. $242, 241. Good, we're locked in. Feels about the right effort. $243, 244, halfway. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. $243, 241. 4 more. $243, 243. Spot on. 2 more. Last one. Bosh. 243 and 240. And now it's getting dark. Really, really happy with that session. That was good. My average heart rate, just checking, was 158 for the session. Some war wounds. Rookie error, not wearing nipple plasters when it's raining, but then it did start raining 3 minutes after I got out the door. So yeah, overall delighted. Couldn't have gone better. Very happy, feeling good. Noosa tries again. What a shoe. Really, really good. So that'll wrap up today's workouts. As I just said, it's going to be around about 22 miles in total for the day when I've got the cool down done. So yeah, let's go back. Let's talk about what's happening at the end of the week. Am I going to shift things around? And zone 2 training. could get controversial, I'm warning you. So there we go, another double threshold day banked, very happy with that. And just for clarification, I won't be continuing double threshold right up until the marathon. It really is meant to be used in the base phase. And again, I think that's why I got it wrong in my last London Marathon training block, because I didn't ever get myself marathon sharp. That was back in 2022. So what I'm going to be doing is another week of this, and then 8 weeks out from Abingdon, which is not next week but the week after, switching them out, and then I'll be bringing them back in throughout the winter. I want to do a proper dedicated longer phase of double threshold training as I go into sort of a bit more base phase before I start to think about what's happening next year. So that's that. Let's dive into zone 2. Oh yes, and just very quickly, the reason why there's only 2 workouts in this video and not 3 as promised from week 1 onwards. I said I want to get all of the workouts on camera. We do indeed have a funeral at the end of the week, so I'm going to be away from Thursday morning through till Saturday evening. I should be able to get all my running done, but obviously I'm not going to be filming that workout. I'll film my long run on the Saturday morning. It's an extremely hilly area down there, so we'll get something done down there and we'll adapt things slightly, but that's why I'm putting the quality at the front of the week so I can get that done. So that's the reason for that. Right, zone 2 running. So I get this question all the time, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure if I've ever really clearly addressed why I do so much steady running or moderate running. So the simple reason is back when I started running, probably like a lot of people out there, I did all of my runs super hard, and then I realized that actually this isn't the way I should train, because some runs felt great, some runs didn't feel good. So then I started researching, doing a lot of reading, understanding, studying, all of that stuff, and realized that actually you're not meant to do a lot of your runs hard. In fact, I went down that whole route of 80-20, which is something that when I was running 35 to 40 miles a week back in my very early days, I really struggled to do. I really found like that ratio was just there was too much easy running in there. And then I kind of really twigged that actually that rule kind of more so applies for the elite athletes that are running 100 plus miles a week. And actually I wanted to do something, I wanted to kind of bridge that gap between pretty much 5 runs a week or 4 runs a week, where 3 or 4 of them are easy, and I've got 1 workout in there, and that's it. And I find myself being 6'6" with quite a slow cadence, that doing a lot of easy plodding doesn't help my biomechanics at all. So what I did, without even really knowing I was doing steady running or zone 2 running, was I started to put a middle of the road run in there, where it wasn't easy but it wasn't hard. And that's something I started literally after about a year of running, and I've been running for 10 years now. And this was before I knew really or dived in too much about heart rate zones and training in zone 2 and all of that stuff. And that stuck with me for a good 2 or 3 years before I really started to dive in and learn a little bit more about zone 2 training. Now I'm going to give a really basic explanation here. Obviously there's tons of science behind all of this, but just for the purpose of this, we'll use a basic 5 zone model. Okay, zone 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And myself and you guys and everybody out there, we have 2 thresholds. Okay, we have an aerobic threshold and an anaerobic threshold. Zone 1 and 2 in this model are below your aerobic threshold. Zone 3 and 4 are in between those 2 thresholds, and zone 5 is above it. Let's just keep it nice and simple, because people out there will use 6 zone models, 7 zone models, 4 zone models. Let's just, for the sake of this video, keep a 5 zone model. Now the goal for us as athletes and runners is that we want to move those thresholds up so that we can hold faster paces for longer effectively, and that's what we train to do. That's why we train the way we train. That's why we do and follow training plans, so that we can work towards pushing those up so that we can become faster runners. Now by definition, and in my 5 zone model, moderate or steady running should be below your aerobic threshold, your first threshold. Okay, now for me, if I plumb my heart rate into a basic heart rate calculator, effectively I feel and think I have a heart rate max of in and around 186 to 188. I have only ever in my life seen it at 186, excuse me, and that was last year. And that was in a really, really tough hill workout. I have never got it higher. So for the sake of this video, I plumbed it in a 188 because I kind of believe that I couldn't quite get there, but I reckon just giving myself 2 BPM grace, I plumbed it into there. And so you'll see on the screen now roughly in a 5-zone model where these heart rates fall. Now for me, that kind of correlates quite well, because I have said in previous videos that for me, I notice a breathing turning point. And this has been developed from me running by feel for such a long period of time. I feel around the 149 to 152 BPM area. I notice that if I sustain that for a while and start to creep into the low 150s, I notice a breathing change, and suddenly things don't feel easy anymore, and I feel like I've gone over that. Now for me, I'm determining that area as my aerobic threshold, so I know that over the years of training, that's kind of what I fathomed out. And so I always keep my moderate runs under there, and I always aim to average my moderate runs in and around a heart rate area of, let's say, give myself a good range, 142 up to 148. So somewhere in there, I know that I'm sat below my aerobic threshold, and then technically, by definition, everything below your aerobic threshold is easy. Now, I'm not saying it is easy running, because it is obviously you're running at a faster pace. And people will say, well, you get the same benefits from running slower as you do at the top of that area below your aerobic threshold. So why are you not running down here? Why are you generating more fatigue than you need to? Which is a perfectly valid argument, I might add. Why are you doing that when you could just be running down here? And there are a couple of reasons for me, really. Number one, it's been proven in a multitude of studies that running in that moderate zone 2 area really improves your aerobic system, meaning effectively that you can get fitter and stronger quicker. And I will back that up. Over the years of training I've done, literally, I've been running 10 years, and I'd say genuinely, I've been running steady running for about 9 of those years. And I'd say I've fine-tuned it in the last 3 or 4 years. I'd say in that middle phase, I was probably running, and this is where the massive issue lies, I was probably running, let's say, half zone 2 into zone 3, maybe sometimes in zone 3. I wasn't as disciplined as I am now. And that indeed has led me in the past to feeling fatigued, overcooked, just completely like too much. So I have learned to really dial it back and really lock it in under there and be a lot more disciplined. It's a little bit like me trying to be disciplined with these LT1 sessions that I'm doing in my double threshold days. And the second reason is that I like to try and maximize my mileage, if I'm brutally honest with you. I like to try and squeeze the most of it out, squeeze the most out of myself that I can in the shorter mileage that I run. I don't run the 80, 90, 100 mile weeks, and there's various reasons for that, but mainly because life is flipping busy and I can't fit in as many runs as some of you guys out there. So I tend to run 5 days and do one of those as a double day, so I get 6 runs in a week. I am hoping to change that very, very soon indeed. In fact, particularly when the kids go back to school in September, I want to try and finish the Abingdon block off by running 6 days a week with 7 runs. So I'm trying to fit in an extra one, but the ultimate truth is that I've just not been able to. And so I like to take that opportunity with the mileage I've got to kind of, let's say people are running easy, and sort of hard, really hard sessions, doing very polarized training. Let's say I kind of close that gap and I have more of a tighter pace range that I train in. And that's effectively all I'm doing. I'm just kind of squeezing that gap, and I feel like I'm getting more out of myself. But even though I'm bringing that up, this mileage here, this moderate steady mileage, is still working on that aerobic base that we talk about so much, that helps us get stronger, build stronger foundations. And that's one of the reasons why I like to do it as well. And finally, I mentioned it before, biomechanically, I just run like an idiot when I'm running at easy paces, especially being as tall as I am. And this isn't a scientific reason, obviously. This is a personal preference reason. So don't say, well, that's not a reason. I know it's not. But for me, honestly, I kind of feel like I run, like my cadence massively drops when I'm running easy. So I would prefer to pick up the pace and get the same benefits. I would rather trade off having a bit more fatigue in the legs because I'm getting the same benefit. Just like we said earlier, same benefit from running at the bottom of that zone to the top of that zone. I'd rather trade off and have more fatigue but be able to run with better mechanics than have less fatigue but run like a sloth, effectively. So that's another personal reason. Now my language might get quite fruity here because there are things that really annoy me when I see people sort of talking about zone 2 training, and you can clearly see that they're not zone 2 training. And that is, zone 2 training, moderate running, should not fatigue you for the next day. It just shouldn't. Great example, last marathon training block when I was being coached by Coach Will. I was doing 75-minute steady runs, moderate runs, zone 2 runs on a Friday, Sunday, and then going out and doing big 2.5 hour long runs. In fact, last year I did 2 races in that build up to my Newport Marathon. I did a 75-minute steady run and then still went and ran a sub 2 hour 20-mile race. So I ran sub 6 minute miles for 20 miles, and I didn't feel the effects of the day before. And I can't remember what the other race was, but I did something similar. And it was just building up that resilience. Like with ultra runners, they do back-to-back hard days on the weekend, back-to-back long days, I should say. So sometimes you might see ultra runners go out on a Saturday and a Sunday. Again, that's just to generate that fatigue, and then the Sunday learning to go out there with fatigued legs. Well, the honest truth is, and it might be because I've been doing it for so long, but I just don't feel the fatigue. Like today's double threshold session, I did 80 minutes steady the day before, and I did not feel the fatigue in my legs, because you just shouldn't. If you keep it in the right zone, it should be so easy. Now, social media loves a good zone 2 runner. I like to think I've been doing it long enough that I'm not doing it for clickbait. I mean, I've had questions for years about it, and I think a lot of people over the last 2 or 3 years are getting more into it. It's becoming more popular, and for me personally, I think that's a bloody brilliant thing, because honestly, I give it to my athletes and I've seen some great improvements in my athletes' times, and I can honestly say that when I get into a block and I really lock into that steady running, I see big improvements relatively quickly. And again, just goes to show, like today's morning session in particular, just having that heart rate so low, the pace is some of the fastest I've ever done, just consistent splits. It just shows that obviously training as a package works, but I do feel and attribute a lot of that to those longer steady runs that I'm doing at a moderate intensity, and also just those medium long runs and midweek moderate runs as well. So there we go, guys. I hope that makes sense. I appreciate that was long-winded, but hopefully that addresses all those questions, and if you have any more, please do drop them below. And here's a top tip for you: if you see anyone else doing zone 2 training on your Strava, whether it's on social media or they're just a runner, and they're commenting about how they're loving their zone 2 training but it's actually fatiguing them, tell them they're doing it wrong. Tell them they're doing it wrong. It honestly, it grinds my gears when I hear people say that it makes them fatigue, because honestly, I promise you guys, it shouldn't. And if it's fatiguing you, just drop it back a bit, all right? Just literally take it back a notch until it's not fatiguing you. Then do it block after block after block, and the improvements what you will see will be huge. I will divide opinion with this. I know that, I appreciate that, and I am always open to comments and criticism. I just don't care. It's water off a duck's back. If you have a counter argument, I'd love to hear it. I'm more than happy, because remember, there are more ways than one way to train to get faster, and everyone's entitled to train in the way they train. I'm just trying to say the zone 2 training can be overcooked by a lot of people, all right? So I'm just trying to give you my outlook on it. So let me just say my usual thank yous before we wrap this one up. First one goes to you guys for watching, really appreciate it. Next up, Saysky, FOD Runner 15 gets you guys 15% off your Saysky purchases. A massive thanks to them for sponsoring this week's video and the training series in general. X Miles, FOD 10 gets you guys a 10% discount code if you're a new customer. If you've already used that account, set up a new account with a new email address. That discount code will work. You can get all your nutrition products from there. Noble Pro, a 4% discount for treadmills is indeed in the description below. Pure Sport, I use their freeze roll muscle balm and their electrolytes right now. A link below is there for that as well. Ketone IQ, massive thanks to them for supporting me. 30% off your first subscription box can be found in the link below. I'm using that daily. And finally, Body Light Gear, your reflective gear specialist. Get ready for those dark winter mornings and nights, dare I say it, with 10% off using the description below. And that's it from me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it was useful. As I said, drop any comments below. It would be great to hear from you down there. If you enjoyed it, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. See you on the next one.